Hello everyone, and welcome to our second flip lesson. As you can see, the picture here is of the big house in Ann Arbor, Michigan. This is an actual photo of a game that my son and I went to this last fall. We sit in the south end zone, and we always go to as many games as we can to cheer on our Wolverines in football. And with the start of the NCAA tournament, and in honor of Michigan making it to the tournament this year, I thought I'd start out with a little Go Blue. Now, if you'll take out your listen write notes and make sure you have them next to you, we will begin with the listen write in terms of solving equations with two mathematical operations in them, generally referred to as solving two-step equations. Things that we need to remember from our first lesson is that we always want to make sure that we are maintaining equality, that we are keeping the two sides of the equation balanced, and we are using our inverse operations to undo operations that are in the equation. You can see right up here with the helpful hints, as I underline that just to bring that to your attention. Number one, we always want to undo addition or subtraction first, okay? And what this amounts to is removing the constant number from the side with the variable. And I'll point that out to you as we go through the examples. Number two, helpful hint, we want to undo either the multiplication or the division next. Now you'll have a combination of either addition and multiplication, subtraction and multiplication, or addition with division, or subtraction with division as we go through the examples. And then we are solving for x. We have solved for x. We are making sure that what we are doing to one side, we will be doing to the other to maintain that equality and keep our equations balanced. And then always we want to check our solution. So that is step number 4. So you should never have to ask Mrs. Snyder if your solution is correct or not. All right, so let's get started with example 1a. In the example, we have 4 times g plus 15 equals negative 33. So the two operations that we have in this equation are multiplication and addition. So helpful hint number 1, undo addition since that's what we have first. And if you remember from our last lesson on one step, to undo addition, we subtract that constant number that we are adding. So that would be the constant number, 15, that I've just pointed to. And to maintain that equality, we are going to subtract 15 from both sides. So here on the left-hand side, 15 minus 15 is 0, so they cancel each other out. So I'm just going to put a line through them, and that leaves that side as 4g. Over here on the right-hand side, right here where I pointed to, we have negative 33 minus 15. So we're at negative 33, and we're going to keep going down in the negative direction, 15 more places. So that is going to put us at negative 48. Now we're going to undo multiplication. We have 4 times g. Remember, when the coefficient and the variable are scrunched together, it means to multiply. So to undo multiplication from our first lesson, we are going to divide. So we're going to divide both sides by 4, because that's what we're multiplying the g by, or that's its coefficient. 4 divided by 4 will cancel out, so I drew, not so well, my big 1 there to cancel them out. And I'm left with g equals, and dividing negative 48 divided by 4 equals negative 12. Now I want to do the check, and I don't have a lot of room, but I think I can fit it in. So we want to replace g with negative 12. So the problem we want to solve is 4 times negative 12 plus 15, and does that equal negative 33? I can see already I need to write smaller when I start one. Well, using our order of operations, PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. We're going to multiply right here first. So 4 times negative 12 is negative 48 plus 15. All right, negative 48 plus a positive 15. One number's negative, one number's positive, so we actually end up subtracting them. So 48 minus 15 is 33, and since there were more negatives, we get negative 33. So negative 33 equals negative 33, and it checks. I'm sorry that that check is scrunched in there at the bottom. I will write smaller when I do the next one. Now I would like you to pause the video and come right over here and do for yourself 1B. All right, now looking at example 2A. We have in this example the two operations of multiplication and subtraction because it reads 8 times D minus 10 equals 6. So going back to our helpful hints, since we have subtraction, we are going to do the inverse or undo subtraction first, and the inverse of subtraction is addition. So we want to add 10 to both sides. So I'm going to write that in, and I'm going to try to write a little bit smaller so I have enough room to fit it all in. So adding 10 to both sides. The subtract 10 and the plus 10, those are opposites, so they're going to cancel each other out. Draw the line through. And then we have 8D equals 16. So now we have multiplication as the only operation in the equation. So to undo multiplication, or the inverse of multiplication, is to divide. So we divide both sides by 8. 8 divided by 8, those cancel. So that's going to leave us with D equals, then 16 divided by 8 is 2. So now I'm going to do the check, and I'm going to come this way to do the check since I don't have room and I can't expand it anymore. 8 times 2 minus 10 equals 6. All right. So now using our order of operations again, multiplication before subtraction. So we have 16 minus 10 equals 6, and then 16 minus 10, 6 equals 6. It checks. And hopefully on your sheet you might have had more room to fit the check underneath. So now I know my solution of D equaling 2 is a correct solution. So pause your video again and work through example 2B, or not 2B. That is the question. All right, we are continuing on with example 3A, and in this equation we have m divided by 2 plus 14 equals 9. So the operation has changed from multiplication to division, so we have to undo the division and we have to undo the addition. And according to our helpful hints, we always start with the addition. So we are going to do the opposite of adding 14, which undoes it. So we're going to subtract 14 from both sides. And the result of that, 14 minus 14, that's 0. So they're canceling each other out, so I cross it out. Bring down the m divided by 2. And then 9 minus 14. Well, you're at 9 on the number line. Walk backwards 14 places. I'm going to pass 0 and end up at negative 5. So now our equation just has division in it. And if you remember from our step 1 lesson, to undo division, we use multiplication. So we're dividing the m by 2. So the opposite or inverse of that is to times by 2 on both sides to maintain that equality. And then 2 times and divide by 2, they're inverses. They're going to cancel each other out right there. And then we have m equals negative 10, because negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. So now we're going to do the check. So I'm going to put negative 10 in for m in the equation. So the problem that we have is negative 10 divided by 2 plus 14 equals 9. Now we're going to use our order of operations. Division before addition. So negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5 plus 14. And we just don't assume that it equals 9. We want to actually think through that process. Negative 5 plus 14. Well, if I'm at negative 5 and I go up 14 places, I'm going to be at positive 9. So 9 equals 9. My solution checks, and I've solved for that equation. So now pause your video and solve number 3B on your own. All right, we are to our last example for this lesson, and it's number 4A. We have b divided by 4 minus 15 equals 29. So we have to undo the subtraction first according to our helpful hint. So the inverse to undo subtraction would be to add. So we are going to add 15 to both sides. Now the minus 15 and the plus 15, they're opposites of each other. They're going to cancel out. So we cross that out and we are left with b divided by 4 equals. Now 29 plus 15, that's just a simple add, and it is going to be 44. Sorry, I had to pause and catch my breath. Now we need to undo the division. We've got b divided by 4. So the inverse or opposite would be to times by 4. So the timesing by 4 and dividing by 4 over on the left-hand side undo each other, so they cancel each other out. So I draw my line through. So my b is going to equal, now I got to do 44 times 14. Well, 4 times 4 is 16. Carry my 1. 4 times 4 again is 16, plus 1 more is 7. So that's 176. So now I need to check my solution. So I'm going to take 76, and divide it by 4. Then I'm going to subtract 15 and see if it equals 29. And I've run out of room on my screen, so I'm just going to draw a little arrow and continue my check over here. So 176 divided by 4. Well, 4 goes into 17 one time with 1 left over. So 4 goes into that 16 now 4 times. Okay, and we have I believe I misspoke myself. Going back to 176 divided by 4, 4 goes into 17 4 times, not 1 time. I was already thinking ahead and getting the 1 left over. So then 4 goes into 16 another 4 times. So we have 44 minus 15, and we're wondering if that's going to equal 29. So now 44 minus 15. Well, 4 minus 5, I got to borrow 1. So now 14 minus 5 is 9. 3 minus 1 is 2. So 29 equals 29. Check. The solution of b equaling 176 checks. So I hope that you found this lesson informative with undoing the 2 steps now instead of just 1 where we've combined 2 operations together. I hope trying the ones on your own went well for you, and please bring in any questions that you have to class tomorrow, and we will get those addressed and we will continue working with solving equations. And to end, here are my children, Emily and Bailey. This is up in Frankenmuth last spring break as we are getting ready for spring break this year. We went to the big Christmas store, Bronner's, and they had a whole University of Michigan section. So my kids and I, of course, all went and took a look at all the fun things that they had, and the kids like these Michigan fingers. So they let me get a photo of that. So I leave you with that, and I will see you tomorrow.